Welcome to the Brand Clarity Podcast, hosted by Visions to Images and Susie Libertor. The Brand Clarity Podcast highlights several different topics, including entrepreneurship, franchises, and digital marketing trends. Visions to Images helps corporations and franchises with their branding, website, paid advertising, and digital marketing. Hello, everybody. Today I have on the podcast Matt Lovasz, and he is the owner and founder of TACT. It's an emergency biohazard company. And I'm excited to kind of chat with him and learn more about how he's gotten into the franchise industry and some hurdles that he's faced. So welcome.
Thank you.
So tell me, I kind of just heard a little bit in a nutshell how you got started, but how did you get started in this industry?
Yeah, I was in St. Louis. I was a police officer for 10 years. When I was an officer for a long time, I didn't even know that any companies did this. And then found out one day that there was companies that did this. I just saw a magnet that was always on the fridge in the break room of another company that does this. And I looked up to see what that was. And then doing some research, I found a company that was already franchising this kind of work. And I was one of the first franchises with them. They were just getting started. It grew really quickly in St. Louis. A few months after opening St. Louis, I bought another franchise in Kansas City and built that up for about a year and a half and sold it. And then I ended up becoming a master franchise owner. So I bought 6 states so I could sell franchises in those states and train them. And those franchises started doing well. I got hired as the head trainer at that company. And I did that for about the last 4 years that I was in business there. Before that company was about to get sold, I also sold my locations and my territories. Took some time off, and I was thinking about what to do next and looking at different industries. But I really just always had a passion for this industry. I think there's a lot of similarities between this and police work. You know, you're helping people during tragic times. Not everybody can do this kind of work. I just felt that I was always cut out for that. So I changed some things that I liked. I changed some things I didn't like, a lot of things that franchises complained about over the years. And I kept a lot of things that I think work in this industry. And I started TACT a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations. I have so many questions for you. I guess my first question, because you have 14 locations in 2 years, and that's incredible.
Right.
People, can't even make it very far getting any locations. So what steps did you take to get to those locations over the years?
It was a combination of things. We first started by building the basics of the franchise, the franchise agreement, the structure of the company, how I wanted the company to be ran, and the brand, the atmosphere of the company. I really thought about that a lot, how I wanted the relationship between me and the franchises to be. Then talked to a lot of people that I knew in the industry and started spreading the word, and then got connected with some consultants, some brokers, told them about it. And then it just started spreading pretty quickly.
So would you say like brokers and consultants kind of are the key into selling more?
For sure. Especially if you're new. If nobody knows who you are yet, they're key to getting the word out there and getting you in touch with people who are interested in this type of work.
That's amazing. So, yeah, I mean, brokers and consultants are great to be helpful in all of the ways. And there's so many out there, but you have to really kind of pick which ones you want to work with because they can get very expensive.
Right. Yeah, they're definitely expensive, but they're worth the cost, especially when you're trying to build a company in the first couple of years.
So what are you most excited about coming into your business world?
Obviously the growth and the potential of where we could go in the future. It seems that it's growing quick. The group of people that we have as franchise owner right now they're a really strong group. And I'm not, out there doing the cleanups or anything anymore. So I'm just strictly on the corporate office side. I see a lot of people that are franchise owners now who had that similar drive that I had when I was new. We're just constantly thinking about how to grow the company and make improvements to things that we did in the past. That I've always told everybody, I'm not someone who's like, I just want to do it this way because that's the way it's always been done. And I'm not a franchisor that tells everybody like, this is the way I want it done and it's my way, and don't try to change anything that I say how we should operate this thing. So we talk regularly on Zoom or conference calls about what's working and what's not working and new things that people are finding. So we're always just trying to improve and stay the leaders of this industry as far as technology goes, just even how we help people in situations like this, the stuff that you can't just put on paper. So this group is really good about helping each other and making sure everybody's doing things the right way.
Yeah, I definitely would not ever want to be into the biohazard cleanup trauma situations. And I've heard from so many people, like, you have to have like the stomach in that kind of stuff to do it. I could never. I'm like a very emotional person. So I would be like, oh my gosh, no, right? It's a lot for people to do what you do, for sure. And it's great that you guys offer that, even though it's not something exciting to do.
It's definitely, you're definitely dealing with some pretty intense emotional situations. And a lot of the people who do this are, very emotional people too, but they just have a way of compartmentalizing it, I guess. Not to where they're not sympathetic. I think they find a way to prioritize helping these people and making sure it goes as easy as possible for something that, is impossible to make something easy like that. But they try to make it as easy as they can for people who are going through something like that.
Hey there, I want to interrupt this episode with a quick message. If you're listening to this podcast episode and want to learn about branding your franchise or small business, then go to brandingbridge.com. That's branding-bridge.com. My next question is about marketing. So what does each franchise owner do for their marketing? Do you guys all have like a consistent plan in place, or do they kind of only do what they envision to do each location?
That's something that we talk about a lot. It's a few days in our training class. It's just talking about how to market, but it's a few different things. And I'm sure, just briefly describing it, it doesn't seem like it's much different than what other people do. But obviously, we have good people working on the SEO side and social media and just everything online. But it's really teaching our franchisees the right people to talk to, educating them about what we do and why we're a necessary service for people in situations like that, and just how the whole process works. Because like I said, even as a police officer, I didn't even know anyone did this. And then you find out people do this and you're like, well, people probably don't want to pay for that. I'm sure it's expensive. And, you have to just educate people of the process. It's really just comes down to relationship building with the people that would refer us on this type of work. There's a wide range of people that we talk to, besides obviously the one everyone thinks about is police officers, but there's a ton of other people that would refer us on this type of work that are involved with anytime there's a suicide or something. It's not just officers that are involved. There's a whole group of people. So, and then really just getting them to know us, the people who are doing the work, so they would feel comfortable telling these people, well, these are good people and they're going to come help you out. They're not going to be somebody who's going to re-victimize you or take advantage of the situation or something like that.
Right. You hit it on the spot, right? Like, I feel like in that industry, people have a hard time trusting people. But I feel like that's in general. But it's like one of those where, you're having somebody come into your house and there could be theft. Do we trust this person? Right. Are they experienced? Do they really know what they're doing? Are they helping?
Right.
Is the customer service good? Right. It seems like these days, all of that stuff is extra important. And that's why that storytelling is so powerful. So what does TACT stand for?
Trauma and Casualty Team. We picked that because it was, obviously it's what we do, but the word TACT without the acronym also means using skill and sensitivity in dealing with difficult situations, which is also what we do. It's a word that we use a lot in police training. Just remember to use TACT, and it's something that it's in our mission statement, and we always just try to keep that in mind when dealing with these situations.
There's a couple of ways to use it.
Yeah. That's
very cool. I like that a lot. So if you had any type of advice for somebody who's just starting off, whether it's in the franchisor or franchisee field, what kind of advice would you give them?
Be patient. If you're just getting started, listen to as many people as you can who have more experience than you do. Maybe not all of them are going to give you good advice, but at least listen to as many people as you can and try to develop your own unique style, while still using the stuff that's been proven to work over the years. But mainly, be patient. A lot of people come into the franchise world from having their normal 9-to-5 job, getting paid every 2 weeks. And that's a big adjustment period to get used to the feeling of being unsure, how much money am I going to make this year? Or is the phone going to ring this week? Just be patient and consistent would be my two main pieces of advice.
One of my biggest thing is about consistency, right? It's how you show up. It's always the consistency. Are you doing everything all the time the same? You know what I mean? And it doesn't always have to be like the same, but you have to maintain some type of cycle to be consistent in all areas of your business. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful for what we want. And I love that. I love that you touched on that. I mean, I know so many people who are like, oh my gosh, no phone calls this week. And I'm like, okay, well, what else can you do? What else can we filter? And let's look at data, right? Are people still visiting your website? Are people still doing the things that they need to do? So it pays off. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad we can. This is a great business model.
Thanks. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you, everybody, for listening in on today's Brand Clarity episode with Susie Liberatore. 2 things. First and foremost, please, if you liked this episode, please subscribe and leave some positive reviews. Also, don't forget to sign up for Stop Sending Your Customers to the Competition and get my insider secrets to compelling branding that converts. You can find that at branding-bridge.com. It's a free workbook for you to check out right now, all of the branding techniques and strategies that I use for my paying clients.